You worked 5 extra years for a bigger number, and your body cashed the check first. You picture the grandkids, the trips, the golf course. Instead, the week you finally retire, your doctor tells you the surgery you kept postponing can't wait anymore. The $180,000 you banked by staying didn't buy back a single one of the healthy years you spent earning it. There's a name for this. Financial advisors call it playing it safe. Walter calls it one more year syndrome. Nobody writes it down as a rule, which is exactly why nobody warns you about it. And here's the part that should bother you. There's an exact point where working longer stops adding to your life and starts quietly subtracting from it. For most people, that point arrives 5 years before they think it does. If you're 55 to 65 and some part of you has already said, "I'll retire when I hit a number," Walter's talking to you. Because that number isn't the finish line you think it is. Walter's going to show you how to find your real number, not your account balance, your actual runway. The math on what an extra year of work really costs. A real comparison between two guys, same job, same savings, 5 years apart. And a way to check whether you're building a bigger retirement or just burning the years you'll never get back. In this video, you're going to learn how one more year syndrome quietly rewires your decision-making without you noticing it happening. The actual formula for your personal runway, the number of healthy years you likely have left, not the number in your 401k. A real comparison. Frank, who worked 5 extra years, and Robert, who didn't. Same plant, same job, same starting balance, and what that 5-year gap actually cost each of them. And, to make it stick, a checklist at the end, simple enough to run at your kitchen table. One that could change the date circled on your calendar. Here's the concept Walter wants you to carry through this whole video. The runway. Every plane has a fixed length of runway before it either takes off or runs out of pavement. Your healthy years work the same way. You don't get to add pavement. You only get to decide how much of it you burn before you actually take off and use the years you've got. Every year you stay parked at the gate to be safe is a year of runway gone, whether you ever get off the ground or not. Most retirement content only tracks how much fuel is in the tank. That's your savings. Nobody tracks how much runway is left. This video does both. Trap number 1. Your runway is shorter than your savings projection. Here's a number the industry never puts on a slide next to your account balance. Public health researchers who track this put the average American's health span, the years you're actually able to do what you want physically, ending around 66. Not your life expectancy, your health span. The years after that are real, but they come with more doctor's appointments than departure gates. If you're 58 right now, that's not 40 years of runway. For a lot of people, it's closer to 8. If you're 58 to 64 and you've been running your retirement math off your life expectancy instead of your health span, you've been solving for the wrong number this whole time, and that's the number that should be driving your retirement date, not the account balance. Trap number 2. One more year syndrome runs on a fake finish line. If you caught Walter's video on the $1 million myth, you already know most people's safe number is made up. Usually a round figure like $1 million or $1.5 million that a magazine mentioned once. Here's what happens after you hit it. You don't retire. You move the number. $1 million becomes $1.2 million, then $1.4 million. Not because the math changed, because the finish line was never really about the math. It was about fear wearing a spreadsheet as a costume. Trap number 3. The real cost of one more year is paid in a currency you can't see on a statement. Walter did the math on an average worker in their early 60s. One more year of work, with contributions, an employer match, and market growth, adds somewhere around $45,000 to a typical retirement account. That's real money. Walter is not going to pretend it isn't. But it's not free. If your runway is 8 years and you spend one more of them behind a desk to be safe, you didn't gain a year. You spent 12.5% of everything you have left for a number that mostly makes you feel better, not richer. Trap number 4. The Social Security math makes this worse, not better. Here's the part your advisor probably framed as pure upside. Delay Social Security past your full retirement age of 67, locked in at 67 for 2026 for anyone born 1960 or later, and you get an 8% delayed retirement credit for every year you wait, all the way to 70. That 8% rate has been fixed since a round of Social Security reforms back in 1983, and it hasn't moved since. On paper, that's one of the best guaranteed returns in the entire financial system. Nobody's disputing the arithmetic. But the arithmetic doesn't know how many healthy years you have left to spend that bigger check on. If you're 60 to 66 and staring down that exact decision right now, ask yourself honestly which number you're actually protecting: the monthly benefit or your own nerves. A guaranteed 8% return on money you never get to enjoy isn't a win. It's a receipt. Trap number 5. Sequence of returns risk is the one honest reason to wait. And it's not the reason most people use. Walter's not telling you to quit tomorrow no matter what. If the market drops hard the year before you planned to retire, sequence of returns risk is real. Pulling money out of a portfolio that just fell can do lasting damage to how long it lasts. That is a legitimate reason to wait a year. I don't feel ready is not the same thing, and most people using the first excuse are actually feeling the second one. Trap number 6. Healthcare timing is a real constraint, but it's usually calculated wrong. I need to work until 65 for Medicare is one of the few versions of this trap with real teeth, since Medicare eligibility starts at 65. But Walter's seen people extend that logic to 66, 67, 68, well past the actual constraint, because once just to be safe becomes a habit, it doesn't need a real reason to keep going. Trap number 7. RMDs turn your caution into someone else's problem later. Keep deferring, keep growing that account past age 73, and the IRS forces required minimum distributions, whether you're ready to spend the money or not, often at exactly the point in the runway when you're least able to enjoy spending it. The industry sold you protect the number. Nobody mentioned that protecting the number too long just moves the tax bill and the spending decision to a version of you with less runway to use it. Every one of these traps points at the same runway. The question was never, can I afford to retire? It's, can I afford not to? Quick pause. If what Walter's walking through is landing for you, if you're doing the math on your own runway right now, hit subscribe. YouTube doesn't push retirement content unless viewers actively tell the algorithm it's worth pushing. Subscribing is how this reaches more people about to trade 5 good years for a bigger number they'll never fully spend. Now, back to the math. Because Walter promised you 2 real guys, and here they are. Meet Frank and Robert. Both 61. Both maintenance supervisors at the same auto parts plant outside Dayton. Same 26 years on the job, same $640,000 in their 401s down to the dollar. Because for most of their careers they sat next to each other and compared statements at lunch. At 61, they had the exact same decision in front of them. Robert retired at 62, right on his original plan. Frank told himself he'd feel safer with a little more cushion. One more year turned into 5. Here's what those 5 years actually bought each of them. Robert, age 62 to 67. He claimed Social Security early and drew the rest from his 401k, spending about $38,000 a year. He was there for 3 grandkids being born. He hiked the easier stretches of the Appalachian Trail while his knees still let him. His account, after 5 years of withdrawals and market growth, sits at $520,000 today. His passport has 14 stamps in it. Frank, age 61 to 67. He kept working the floor, kept the overtime, delayed Social Security all the way to his full retirement age for the 8% credits. He banked the extra contributions, including the $11,250 super catch-up the 2026 rules allow for workers 60 to 63. His account today sits at $890,000, $370,000 more than Robert's. He also has 2 knee replacements from 64 and 66. He missed 1 grandkid's birth because he was covering a shift, and this spring, back pain from 30 years on a concrete floor meant he watched his daughter's wedding dance from a folding chair instead of dancing with her. Same plant, same job, same $640,000 starting line. Robert has $370,000 less in the bank today. Frank has 2 knee replacements, a missed birth, and a dance he didn't get to have. Same accounts, different order of operations, different retirement. Frank still tells people at the plant reunion that the extra $370,000 was worth it, probably. Usually right after he mentions his knees, and usually without finishing the sentence. Robert doesn't bring up the money at all. He talks about the trail. Walter's not telling you Robert made the objectively correct financial choice. On a spreadsheet, Frank's spreadsheet looks better. Walter's telling you the spreadsheet was never the whole ledger. Frank spent Runway he can't get refunded, and the extra $370,000 doesn't come with a return policy for knees. If you're within 5 years of the date you've already picked for yourself, run this exact comparison for your own numbers before you decide, not after. Now here's the part most retirement channels won't tell you because it complicates the tidy version of this video. Even if you retire on time, even if you get the Runway math exactly right, that's not actually the finish line either. Retirees who leave work with a number but no plan for what to do with their days report lower satisfaction in that first year than people who worked a little longer with a clear purpose waiting for them. That means retiring earlier isn't automatically the win. If Robert had walked out at 62 with no plan beyond not working, a chunk of that runway would have gone to boredom and drift instead of grandkids and hiking trails. The fix isn't just protecting your runway. It's having a flight plan for it before you take off. What you're actually going to do with Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. when there's no shift to cover. Skip that step, and you can get the Runway math perfectly right and still burn the years just as fast as Frank did. Just more comfortably. Here's the simple routine Walter wants you to run once a year. Maybe on your birthday. Maybe with your spouse at the kitchen table. 1. Write down your honest health span estimate. Look at your family history, the physical toll of your actual job, and be honest instead of hopeful. 2. Calculate what one more year of work really adds to your accounts. Contributions, match, growth. Using this year's real numbers, not a guess. 3. Compare that dollar figure against what one more year takes off your runway. If the math only works because you're scared, that's not math. That's fear with a calculator. 4. Check your Social Security claiming age against your actual health situation, not just the biggest possible monthly check on paper. 5. If you're 60 to 63, know that the 2026 rules hand you a bigger catch-up contribution window than ever before. Use it deliberately, not as an excuse to keep delaying the decision. 6. Build an actual plan for your first 90 days of retirement before you set a retirement date. Not a vague one, a real one, with a Tuesday morning in it. 7. And this is the one to remember if you forget the other 6. The number that matters isn't the one on your 401k statement. It's the one on your calendar. Protect that number first. Look, this was never really about the money. It's about who's deciding how your remaining runway gets spent. You, with your eyes open, or a fear dressed up as prudence that never has to explain itself? Walter's watched too many Franks retire with bigger numbers and shorter runways to stay quiet about it. If this helped, do 3 things for Walter. Hit that like button so more people in your age range see this. Subscribe to Walter Explains Retirement so you don't miss the next deep dive. The video on the actual math behind the retirement spending smile is coming up next, and it connects directly to everything you just heard about Runway. And in the comments, type the word Runway if you want Walter to walk through how to calculate your own health span estimate in detail. I'm Walter. Your money is important, but your time and your health are priceless. Use the rules to your advantage, not theirs. I'll see you in the next.